a New York judge has blocked Elon Musk, DOGE staffers, and Trump's political appointees from accessing the Treasury's database. And there are now Democrats who are definitely unhinged calling for these DOGE staffers to be arrested. We're going to talk about these stories and more in this video, but let's start here.
In the past week, Elon Musk and his so-called Department of Government Efficiency have accessed the personal private information of tens of millions of Americans and sensitive data about public and private entities, Social Security numbers, addresses, tax returns, and more. This unelected group, led by the world's richest man, is not authorized to have this information, and they explicitly sought this unauthorized access to illegally block payments that millions of Americans rely on, payments for health care, child care, and other essential programs. Today, Democratic attorneys general are taking action to keep Americans' personal data secure, to keep sensitive information about Americans private, and to uphold our Constitution. We have filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration for giving unauthorized individuals access to these immensely sensitive records in violation of the law. President Trump does not have the power to give our private information away to whomever he wants. And he does not have the power to cut federal spending that Congress approved, much less to do so by giving the richest man in the world the keys to all Americans' most sensitive information. As Democratic attorneys general, we are suing to stop this unprecedented and unauthorized attack and to protect your personal information. As I've said before, no one is above the law, and I will not hesitate to uphold the rule of law and protect New Yorkers. Thank you.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's understand something. Everything that came out of her mouth, at least 90% of it is a lie, and I'll give you an example. Okay, so the DOGE team blocked healthcare payments, childcare payments. Can someone please show me the receipts on that? Who exactly blocked payments? Who did not receive their payments? I would love to know. I mean, please. So again, this is them blatantly lying about something, but they can get away with it because the media is not going to fact check them. We know that. That's number one. Number two, do they really have unauthorized access? They have the security clearances. Elon Musk himself has a top secret clearance. So what do you mean they are not authorized? That's the second thing. And the third thing, she's claiming that they have access to tax returns, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so can I just ask the obvious question here? If someone was going to do a forensic audit of everything that's been going on financially within every single agency, wouldn't they have access to that information? Now, here's a little bit more details.
Now, not everyone is thrilled with DOGE accessing U.S. government computers. This morning, a federal judge restricted Elon Musk's team from accessing a Treasury Department payment system. As you read off the top, Rich, any information downloaded must be destroyed, the judge ruled. This was a suit brought by New York Attorney General Leticia James and 17 other AGs to stop Musk. In a statement, James said, quote, "From the moment Elon Musk and his DOGE employees gained unprecedented access to our personal private data, state bank accounts, details, and other sensitive information, Americans across the country have been horrified." As you mentioned, President Trump is spending the weekend in Palm Beach. He heads to the Super Bowl tomorrow, but not before, sitting down with our own Brett Baer for a Super Bowl interview that will air pregame at 3 p.m. tomorrow, Rich.
Okay, well, it's my understanding, according to the election, that Americans are actually freaking out over how much it costs to live, how much eggs are, electricity prices, gas prices, border security, education, foreign wars that never end. I don't believe they're freaking out about what Elon Musk is doing. In fact, I'm telling you guys, if the rumor becomes true, if Elon Musk runs those commercials during the Super Bowl, a lot of people are going to be thanking him, by the way. Now, here's the idea that's been suggested by Charlie Kirk that I think is mind-blowing. He says that New York judge just blocked all political appointees, including Treasury Secretary, from accessing Department of Treasury data, all based on blue anon conspiracy theories. Those theories couldn't be challenged because the order was ex parte, meaning Trump's lawyers weren't warned and couldn't weigh in. Only Democrat attorney generals were allowed to argue. And Elon Musk responded by saying, "This ruling is absolutely insane. How on earth are we supposed to stop fraud and waste of taxpayer money without looking at how money is spent? That's literally impossible. Something super shady is going to protect scammers." Exactly what Senator Kennedy out of Louisiana said. How are you supposed to review the spending if you can't look at the spending? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And if the rumors are true about the Secretary of Treasury not being able to have access, ALX makes a great point. Secretary of the Treasury functions as the CFO of the U.S. government. If the CFO is denied access to spending information, how can he do his job? The people elected Donald Trump, who appointed the Secretary of Treasury to run the Treasury, not bureaucrats. That's really what's happening here. Okay, so clearly there's something else going on here. Now, they all have the ability to exercise whatever legal avenues they want to take to try to slow down President Trump's agenda, and particularly Elon Musk and the DOGE team. That's fine. I'm not actually, upset about that. What I am upset at is the dangerous rhetoric they're continuing to use to describe what is happening, which obviously is not rooted in reality. And let me give you an example. Here's Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher, who I find to be some individuals who are truly Trump deranged, that at some point it makes you ask the question, do they even hear themselves?
I want to know who their names are, and I want to see Democratic governors saying, I'm going to do everything I can in my power to use the full faith and to the letter of the law to put you folks in prison. I think what you're doing is trespassing. I think this is a coup. And be clear, just because the new insurrectionist who was elected, I don't believe this is legal. And I'm going to hold the people accountable who are trespassing and part of a coup accountable. To just sit back and say this is horrible and this is unlawful, we need to go gangster here and say, look, we are not negotiating around this stuff. This is illegal. This is a coup. This is the unlawful seizure of power. We are not going to engage in these bullshit, ridiculous arguments over, Gaza and Greenland. We are going to hold the people accountable. Here are their names. Here are their faces. And we have contacted the local authorities in where these kids live, these young adults, and we are going to hold them accountable.
Okay, so my only question to Scott Galloway would be this. What should they be held accountable to? What laws have they broken? Just because they have access to somebody's social security number or their tax returns, does that mean they have broken the law? Last time I checked, these are government employees with secret clearances. And they work for who? Elon Musk, who is a special government employee with a top secret clearance. And they are accessing this information with career-long employees in these different agencies. And ultimately, who do they all report to? The President of the United States. So please, can someone explain to me what law has been broken? Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is this. We have 3 branches of government, but the Democrats would lead you to believe that there's only one, and that's the executive branch, and that he's going to ruin the Constitution, and he's staging a coup against who exactly? Now, in addition to this entire drama over this, Elon Musk put this up on X to provide clarification about what actually is happening, because we know media and the Democratic Party, they're trying to spin this in their own favor. To be clear, what the DOGE team and the U.S. Treasury have jointly agreed to, which makes sense, is the following. Require that all outgoing government payments have a payment categorization code, which is necessary in order to pass financial audits. This is frequently left blank, making audits almost impossible. Second, all payments must also include a rationale for the payment in the comment field, which is currently left blank. Importantly, we are not yet applying any judgment to this rationale, but simply requiring that some attempt be made to explain the payment more than nothing. And third, the do not pay list of entities known to be fraudulent or people who are dead or are probably fronts for terrorist organizations or do not match congressional appropriations must actually be implemented and not ignored. It can currently take up to a year to get on this list, which is far too long. This list should be updated at least weekly, if not daily. Now, the above is super obvious and necessary changes are being implemented by existing long-time career government employees, not anyone from DOGE. It is ridiculous that these changes didn't exist already. Yesterday, I was told that there are currently over $100 billion a year of entitlements payments to individuals with no social security number or even a temporary ID number. If accurate, this is extremely suspicious. When I asked if anyone at Treasury had a rough guess for what percentage of that number is unequivocal and obvious fraud, the consensus in the room was about half. So $50 billion a year or $1 billion a week is fraud that is going out of the Treasury Department. So what are we outraged about again?
Look, I think this is absolutely America first. It's needed policy, and it's what people have been asking for years. And honestly, politicians have talked about doing this for a very long time. The only difference is they never do it. You've had presidents from both parties say, I'm going to make the government smaller. I'm going to go in and look at the bureaucracy and make it more efficient. I'm going to trim where I can, trim the fat. No one ever does it. Reports are written, committees meet, people have phone calls, press conferences are held, and nothing ever happens except the government gets larger and larger. Lo and behold, Donald Trump shows up and throws out the sledgehammer, the instrument of destruction, Elon Musk, to actually do it and do it at lightning speed. This is precisely what voters have been demanding. Is he going to break a few eggs along the way? That's fine. They'll have plenty of political latitude to do it because the action is what's wanted by the American people.
So Scott Jennings is spot on. I mean, the administration is going to make some mistakes, but the media will overreact to it just like Democrats. And the problem with that overreaction, it takes them away from what actually matters to the American people. This should actually be an issue that they should be collaborating with Republicans on and going to their constituents in that manner. But no. They're raising hell. They're calling for war. They want to do everything to stop this agenda. And what they're really doing is trying to stop what the American people have asked President Trump to do. So what's the return on investment in that? I'm not too sure I see it. Now, here's Congressman Frost from Florida pretty much saying what I just said and what their strategy is as a party at this point.
Well, I could spend a long time telling you what we need. My question for you, what can you do?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on. I mean, obviously everybody knows we're in the minority, but we have to make this decision. Do we want to act like we're in the minority or do we want to act like the opposition? And the fact of the matter is, of course, our institutional levers that we can pull to stop these things are limited. But the things we can do, we should do them. Even if ultimately it doesn't stop something, we should work to delay, to obstruct, to try to stop the things that are going to negatively impact our constituents. We can show up to these federal buildings and make sure that people across the country know exactly what's going on and the fact that a lot of their federal elected officials have been shut out from the process. And it's not even just Democrats, it's Republicans too in Congress that have no idea what's going on. They're just not saying anything because they bow to Elon Musk, they bow to Donald Trump. So it's litigation, working with the outside groups, it's protest and mobilization, making sure that we're protesting, doing direct action. And then us on the inside, we need to work at using the parliamentary procedure and the different procedures that we can in committee to stop, delay, and obstruct the worst parts here of Donald Trump's agenda.
This is just a colossal mistake. This is why they haven't learned anything from the election. They're putting all their eggs in one basket, and that basket is called Donald Trump. And they're going to do everything they can to get in his way, which means they will be obsessed with Donald Trump on everything. And that's where they went wrong over the past 4 years. They were so obsessed with Donald Trump, they became the very thing that they accused him of being. And they paid the ultimate price. They lost an election in an embarrassing fashion, I might add. So please keep talking this way. Please make that your strategy. We know it won't work because you guys are distracted from what actually matters to American voters. But again, they don't care about that because they're not even looking at the numbers. For example, this is put up on X by Mario Nofo. He says this: Treasury leads in fraud and waste. Nearly 24% of budget is lost. And he has a graphic here that you can see for yourself. So 24% of the Treasury's budget is fraud, waste, and abuse. Labor, almost 12% there. Veteran affairs, 10%. Agriculture, 10%. Health and Human Services, 9%. Education, 5%. Department of Defense, which I don't think is accurate because, again, they haven't passed an audit in so many years. So I'm sure it might be higher, but so on and so forth. So the bottom line here is, do Democrats really care about actually cutting the deficit down? Do they really want to balance the budget? Do they really want to make sure that every dollar going out the door is what taxpayers truly want? My money is that they don't really care about all those things. Now, here's an example of that. Congresswoman Amy Klobuchar, she says this: majority party Republicans are acquiescing in the administration's lawlessness at every turn. It's just a few of them would stand up to anything it would matter. Now, it was interesting. A Democratic voter on X actually responded directly to the Congresswoman, and the message ended up going viral for good reasons by saying this: Senator, I am 60 years old, and I was a proud and obnoxious Democrat my whole life until the party refused to have a fair primary, until it viciously and relentlessly attacked RFK Jr. and his independent campaign, until it revealed itself to be a cesspool of greed and corruption with nothing but contempt for the lives and well-being of everyday Americans. Do not speak of lawlessness unless it is to confess your own. Republicans are not who you should be worried about. Your problem, one you share with Chuck and Liz and Bernie and the rest of your party, is former Democrats who are seething with fury at having been conned by all of you. Pack your bags. Something tells me 2026 won't be a typical midterm. And Elon Musk actually responded to this as well. He said the Democratic Party still doesn't realize how many Americans they have alienated with their shady, ironically undemocratic tactics. Against the wishes of their electorate, they stopped Bernie from being the candidate several years ago. Yeah, not once, but twice, right? Then trashed RFK very unfairly, and then switched Kamala for Biden without even holding a primary. Now they are relentlessly trashing DOGE, which is just trying to stop fraud, waste, and abuse of your tax-paying dollars and report to the public with maximum transparency. It's messed up. And it's something that I truly believe will backfire on the party. No question. Now let's hear from Alina Habba, who is a legal counsel to the president in the White House. Here's what she has to say about the freakouts from Democrats.
I'm not sure what they're freaking out about, to be honest, Sean. I'm pretty sure we stood at rally after rally and said exactly what we were going to do. We were going to protect taxpayer dollars. We were going to help educate our children in the right way who are undereducated. So, Maxine, I'm not sure what you're stepping into, but you need to move out of the way. And we're going to create DOGE. We did. And DOGE is working. So I have to tell you, I know Elon, and I'm a little bit frustrated, not a little bit, but by what I'm hearing. But the people that are screaming the loudest, Sean, are probably the people that are pissed off because their money train has come to an end. We're done now. Sorry, Chuck. Sorry, Maxine. Sorry, Nancy, with your stock trades. The show's over. We are now looking, and we're going to audit, and we're going to find out what's going on, and we're finding a lot. We've named them over and over again. And by the way, the list is extensive. Operas for transgender LGBTQ people. We're funding condoms. We're funding, things that are unheard of. One was teaching people how to use their pronouns in another country. We spent millions of dollars. This is absurd. We are supposed to take care of taxpayer dollars. And what the last administration did was get rich and waste money. And I'm tired of it.
Yep, we're all tired of it. And we're definitely tired of language like this, because we know if President Trump or Elon or anybody else on the Republican side was talking this way, oh, they would be having a field day. They would be saying we're trying to incite an insurrection, right? Didn't they say that 4 years ago? Jim Jordan put this up. Democrat reactions to cutting government waste. We are at war. Fight. We will bring the fire. Blow this place up. Shut down the city. Shut down the Senate. Lock him up. Those are other terms too. Just straight up unhinged. And of course, I have a video showing you who's at the top of the list of individuals who are unhinged in Congress, and that is Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren.
I want to level set with you. The last 3 weeks have been hard. Okay, they've been a nightmare. There have been way too many horrific, mostly illegal things to even keep track of. This is on purpose. Donald Trump and his team are doing all of this at once to try to distract us, to scare us, to confuse us. They are hoping we are just going to give up, curl into a little ball, and let them do whatever they want. We will not give in. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We don't have the majority. We don't have the House. We don't have the Senate. We don't have the White House. Our tools may be limited, but that does not mean we don't have any tools. It does not mean we are powerless.
I don't think the issue is whether or not they are powerless. Their issue is credibility. Nobody believes anything that they say. And then that issue is magnified because they're focusing on issues that they by default are going to lose until they change their mindset. And a third, they have the wrong people speaking on behalf of the party. Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, these are not the type of individuals you would want to be speaking on your behalf if you truly plan to be competitive with this Trump administration. All right, so let's get your guys' reaction in the comment section below by answering this. Scott Galloway, he calls for DOGE staffers to be arrested. What would be your direct message to Mr. Galloway? Is he off base here? I know he is, but I want to get what you have to say in the comment section below. Now, in my opinion, what is not off base is what President Trump did to Joe Biden yesterday. He ended up revoking his security clearances. Now, this is something that President Biden had did to Trump back in 2021. And there are more heartbreaking stories coming out of Washington State where they believe the government can raise children better than the parents. And we also have additional stories from yesterday that you're not going to want to miss. So if you want to see that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.